Hi, I'm Josh from eSpares, and in this video I'll be helping you to diagnose a fault in your electric hob. Electric hobs come in three different types, an element, a ceramic and induction. Here I've got two of those types, the element and the ceramic, and although they look quite different, they essentially work in the same way. I'm just going to take the top off the ceramic hob just to give you an idea of what's going on inside. Now an element is quite simple. It's essentially a resistive wire which has current passed through it, and the resistance causes it to get hot, which is obviously what cooks the food. Now here I've got the four rings inside the ceramic hob. These two rings contain two elements, and these two both have a single element. Now the way that the temperature is controlled in these rings are through the control board, and the control board cycles these elements on and off, and that produces an average temperature. Now if you find on your ceramic hob that when you turn your ring on, it's going on full blast and it's not actually having its temperature regulated, then it's very likely that there's an issue with the control board and you'll need to replace it. Now if one of the areas on the ring isn't heating up, you can actually examine the wire for any breakages or damage. You can also test the element using a multimeter on a resistance setting. So if I just test the outer element, now I'm looking for a reading of less than 100 ohms for a working element here. I'm getting a reading of about 38 ohms, and on the inner element about 72 ohms. So that shows that both of those elements are working okay. Now it may be that your hob doesn't use a control board, it actually uses a variable switch to cycle the power on and off. So if your hob does have that type of switch and you're turning it to a particular position but the element is coming on full blast, then the chances are that the switch is faulty and you need to replace it. If we move over onto the element hob here, this type of hob can also use a variable switch to cycle the power on and off on a ring. And again, if you are finding that when you turn the switch on, the element is just going on full blast, then you should replace the switch. This particular hob actually uses a 6-position switch to control each ring. Now the fact that it's got 6 positions means that each ring is going to contain 3 elements, and the position that you set the switch at will determine how many of those elements are turned on to produce the relevant heat. If you're finding that when you turn it on it's not reaching the right temperature, you can test the element. Here I've got one to show you. Again, using your multimeter. And I'm just looking for any reading of between 50 and 300 ohms across those elements. So any reading outside of that range would indicate the presence of a fault and the ring will need to be replaced. Another fault that you may have on your hob is that it's simply not receiving any power at all. For that you need to check the terminal block inside the hob where the power cable comes in. Have a look for any signs of burning or damage to the wires. Obviously if you do see anything wrong with it, you'll either need to fix it or replace it. Now a word about induction hobs. These work slightly differently to these two types of hob, and they use electromagnetic coils. Now the electromagnetic coils actually only heat any ferrous metal. So as a pan is placed on, the pan is heated directly through electromagnetic induction. And for that reason, if you place your hand on it, you won't feel any heat. Now, because they do work quite differently and they're more complicated, it can be difficult to diagnose and fix an induction hob, and for that reason you may prefer to use a fixed price repair service such as Repair Care. Now, if you need help diagnosing any other appliances, check out our other eSpares videos, and spares for hobs and other appliances are available on the eSpares website. Thanks for watching.